My name is Hazel Mullisham, and this is the Light on Leeds podcast. This week on this episode, I have Deby Jackson, who remotely connects to talk to me about That Leeds Mag, which is an independent North Leeds printed magazine. It's beautiful to look at. It features great editorials. It's a great advertising tool. If you're interested, there'll be loads of links in the podcast notes. Deby's a great person to talk to. It's brilliant to talk to you about sort of social media, what she thinks of Leeds, because she's only been here 3.5 years herself. It's a great interview, and I think you'll enjoy it. On this episode of the Light on Leeds podcast, I have Deby Jackson come to speak to me. Hello, Deby.
Hello, Hazel.
How are you doing today? All right?
Very well this morning, thank you.
Glad to hear it. So you've come along, Deby, to speak to me about That Leeds Mag. What can you tell me? How did it get started? What is it?
What's going on? So That Leeds Mag it's everybody probably gets a sort of a free door drop magazine through their door, sort of filled with advertising and editorial. And I wanted to, there was one magazine called North Leeds Life, which ceased trading in 2020. And I thought, I was out of work at the time. And I thought, well, I need to back myself, and I thought I'd have a go at it.
And did you have any experience with anything like that?
Graphic design, yes. Graphic design is my trade. I've been doing that for 20 years. And I'd done a few graphic design jobs since we moved to Leeds, because we moved to Leeds about 3.5 years ago. And but then, yeah, I'd spoken to a guy who runs the East Leeds magazine, John Wheelhouse, and he sort of said to me that basically it was his only job. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. So, and that opportunity came up with North Leeds Life sort of ceasing trading. And I thought, well, there's this whole area now of North Leeds and or Northwest Leeds that isn't getting a door drop magazine. So I sort of got in contact with all the advertisers that were in that magazine. Some of them have come across, some of them haven't. And just working on getting new advertisers to pay for it, which is an important part of the job. And then designing all their artwork and their adverts for them, and then finding some decent editorial so people actually want to pick it up and read it.
Brilliant. And so you said you started in 2020. So was this during lockdown?
It was, yes. So I was made redundant, I think in the July of 2020, and then I sort of applied for every possible job I could, and I think when I started getting kickbacks, getting refused from, the likes of Aldi and stuff like that, I thought, well, this is bonkers. I know that I'm skilled, and I know that I'm good at what I do. What can I do to back myself? And I started picking up freelance graphic design work, did a few jobs for people, still do work for companies that I've worked for in Leeds. So I'm picking up things that, they made me redundant because they didn't need a full-time member of staff, but actually it's working out quite well for both of us in that they don't have to pay a full-time wage because they're just paying for the work as ad hoc when they need it. So I carried on doing that, but it wasn't enough, built a few websites for friends, and just got really sort of kept myself busy with little projects, and then saw this opportunity. I thought, why not?
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We were in a lockdown.
Yeah, but I mean, great to have something to focus on, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and obviously there was a lot of phone calls, a lot of sales calls, which I've never ever done before in my life. So that was eye-opening. I think I'm all right at it. I'm not pushy. If people say no to me, I leave them alone. If generally, what I tend to do is give people the information, and if they choose to get in touch and advertise, then brilliant. I'm not going to keep ringing you up. Like I think some other companies will.
Yeah.
Just people's marketing decisions is their own decision, and how they want to spend their budget is entirely up to them. And I like to just say, look, here's the information. I'm delivering 19,500 magazines to this area. That's 19,500 opportunities for your brand to be seen.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a lot cheaper than doing a flyer drop. So if you're thinking about doing that kind of thing, give me a call. But I'm not going to chase you and drive you nuts. It's not me. I'm not a salesperson, really. I'm a graphic designer, and so I just make it look nice.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the magazine does look really nice. You can tell
Mm.
that you've got graphic design background. How do you choose the front covers? Because you've got some amazing front covers.
I do have some amazing front covers. I'm really, really grateful for all the guys who've let me use their artwork. Um, I sort of My first edition was an unsplash, free photo, and I was like, oh, this is not right. This isn't going to work. Um, and I started initially. I just sort of reached out to a local artist that I found on Instagram and said, I've got, I'm delivering this many magazines in the area. Would you be willing to sort of donate? Obviously I'm skint at this point in time.
Yeah,
Would you be willing to let me print it on my cover? And they said yes. And I was like, it was just amazing. And there's so many wonderful creatives and artists in Leeds and in my distribution, but in Greater Leeds as well. And yeah, they've just been dead generous. And I think, obviously they're getting 20,000 copies of their artwork delivered all across
yeah.
Leeds and online. But I think it's really kind of them to do it, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that is brilliant, isn't it? It's great that it
Mm,
sort of works for everybody.
I think so, and it shares, what these beautiful pieces of art across Leeds, and I'm really enjoying doing that. So, and I've
Yeah,
actually now, I tend to sort of cherry pick something that is completely different in style and for in like art type,
yeah,
so that the covers are completely different to each other. So, one edition doesn't look too similar to the next,
yeah,
to make sure that it's really obvious that this is the next one.
yeah.
For when people see them out and about, because I leave them in various places. So yeah, and now I have a few people get in touch with me saying they want to do it. So
Oh, that's fantastic when it
that's
works
really
that way.
nice. Yeah, it's really nice. And I think I've got the next couple. I think the next 2 or 3 covers already lined up. So I'm not. Initially I used to worry about that. Oh
Yeah.
God, I haven't got a cover, but now it's sort of already done. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I know what you mean with it. It's when I first started, and I had, because I always feature a song by
Mm,
a Leeds-based band, a musician. There would be weeks at the beginning where I'd be like calling mates, going, "Have you got anything you can give me?" But yeah, it gets easier the further you go on, really, doesn't it?
yeah, definitely, definitely. A bit more people know who I am and what I'm doing. Yeah, and then they'll just, I like to think people can just message me,
Yeah,
and ask, because
yeah, that's brilliant.
yeah.
And how do you choose the editorial pieces? How do you choose who you're going to speak to for those?
hmm So initially, I wanted to do the video interviews because of the traction that video gets on social media, and I think I realized um, that I was going to need a social media following because it's something that my advertisers need to see,
Yeah,
but also because I'm pushing their content across my social media as well as in the magazine, that needs to get some reach. So to grow that following on social media, I started doing the Instagram Reels, with the short form video content, um, and that goes across Twitter and Facebook. I don't tend to post it on LinkedIn, but it is, it's on YouTube as well. So all my old video interviews, and they're very short because I tend to break them down into sort of 30-second minute slots, and you might get 4 on each interview at most, really. So they're
mhm.
only very short, sharp highlights of what is, you've been through it, a 30
Yeah,
minute,
I
40,
have.
40-minute conversation that I have with somebody. A lot of work goes into it because obviously I have a system which transcribes on the Zoom call that we had, but then I have to go through that and sort of cherry pick the best parts of that interview to actually put in the magazine itself. But yeah, finding interviewees is, that's a challenging one. I'm trying to go for like minor local celebrities as much as I
Yeah,
can, whether they are community or like yourself. in the media, and just finding something that my readers will be interested in and want to read. Um, so yeah, I say, but that's always up in the air really, and I know because of the amount of work that goes in it, I have to get it done early, like straight after the previous deadline. I have to get in, get it done
Yeah.
because of the work involved, and then all the video editing as well, which I outsource because I realised that took me too long and it was a waste of my time when someone else can do it quicker and better.
So,
Yeah.
which part of the process do you enjoy the most?
Um, Getting to know people, like finding out about the advertisers, because someone will come and they say, "Oh, I want to do something, but I don't just want to do an advert. I want to do something different." Um, and having those conversations with people about how they want to market their business, because some people don't know, and they're all sort of small local businesses in the magazine, and it's really sort of coming up with the ideas for them and saying, well, let's just do one hero image. What's your favorite product? Or things like that, just getting into the nitty gritty of what their business is to make sure that we get that advert right almost the first time, most times. And then, because once you've got that ad in, you don't want to keep changing it, like you
Mhm.
don't want to keep changing the design. I think that's part of branding, which obviously I know a bit about. So it's making sure that that brand is repeated, and when someone sees your work, it's instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
That's you. So I like getting into that nitty gritty. I mean, some people don't even have a logo, and I like to help with that as much as I can. It's all the extra work that goes on top.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously, the actual physical magazine is just the icing on the cake, really, isn't it? It's all of the other
Exactly.
layers of things you've had to do to get there.
Yeah, definitely. And the sort of other editorial content that I do, I like to try and sort of showcase people in the communities who are doing something amazing, um, or opportunities for the general public to volunteer or to get involved in things in the community, like
Yeah.
the Meanwood Men's Shed, and things like that, where people can, uh, go, oh yeah, I could do that. I mean, I did stuff with the Meanwood Valley Partnership. I've done stuff with loads of different people. I mean, there's the parks. I'm trying to remember what they're called now. Leeds Parks.
Parks and countryside, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think, and they do, like, you can volunteer to go and help. Down at Meanwood Valley, doing loads of different things, and I think it's I like to encourage that. I try not to put anything in the magazine that is just a straight up fundraiser.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to be asking my readers just to hand over their money.
Hmm.
I don't think I'd want that in a magazine. I guess I sort of, maybe it's a little bit of a vanity project in some ways, in that I'm like, no, I must have that like that. And but I don't, I want it to be a free magazine that's not asking anything of you. It's just
Yeah.
providing content that you can read, and services that might help you if you need them. Yeah.
And so you said that you moved to Leeds 3.5 years ago. Can you
Yes.
tell me a bit about how that came about and why Leeds and where you came from?
Yeah, well, I'm born and bred in Essex, and lived in Northampton for a while, and moved back to Essex, and then up to Leeds. But what it was, I was basically sat in front of a desk doing direct mail, graphic design for direct mail, some sort of blue chip companies for 10 years, same desk, same office, usually same people. The office had a window which looked out over a warehouse. Um, and it took me an hour and a half to get there in the morning and an hour and a half to get home.
Oof.
So it was a bit rubbish, and I had a young daughter. So um, it it just got too much. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm leaving the house at 6:30 in the morning. I'm getting home at 7 o'clock at night. This is just
Yeah.
crazy. And my husband said, I mean, he was working pretty hard. He was working down the road and obviously doing a lot of childcare. But it was just too much, and he said, "Well, let's just move to Leeds," because I think his sister's in Leeds. He was born in Leeds, and I was like, eventually, I think it took maybe a year, 2 years for me to go, yeah, all right, then we need a fresh start because I can't keep working this hard. you know. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so we moved. It took me a long time to get the first job that I got when we moved up. Um, but John was already working because he moved up like 6 months before me because we were selling the house. So it was all a bit crazy. My daughter moved up, sort of, I think she moved up about 3, 4 months before I did as well. So I was driving up and down the country uh, for a period of time every weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely the right thing to do
Well, I'm very glad
for
to hear
us.
that.
Yes, it was definitely the right thing to do. I sort of I wonder how, how different things would have been if we'd moved sooner, or I don't know, because it just you think about that time wasted sitting in that office. The
Mm.
people were great and the job was rewarding, but it was like, what was I doing? Now I guess working for myself now is a little bit more freedom. If I want to go and get a massage, I'll go get a massage. If I want to go for a walk, I just stand up and go for a walk. I'm not being told when I can have my lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
So yeah, definitely a good move.
And so I imagine if you were visiting family, and it was where your husband was from, so I
hmm
imagine that you already had a little bit of a knowledge of Leeds and what it was like as a place.
Not much. We'd
No.
visited a few times. We'd done a few sort of weekends in the city. Um, it's just staying in the hotels in the city and doing museums and stuff, just sort of getting our bearings a little bit before we went, right, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Just testing the water. But I think I was, at that point, I think I was easily persuaded.
But so when you started on the magazine,
hmm
has that I imagine it's helped you get your bearings and find out, and being involved must feel like a great thing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I'm always getting people sending me stuff about things that they're doing, and uh, it's exciting to find out about what is going on. Um, yeah, I mean, in the city and sort of Meanwood and Chapel Allerton, it's great, and I think yeah, I mean, I get involved where I can. Obviously, I'm quite busy,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I think it's great, and yeah, I learned a lot quickly, and I think one of the best things is that the people are brilliant. Anyone will talk to you, and I enjoy finding out about what people are doing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm very similar.
yeah,
And do you have any
exactly.
sort of are you just going to keep on doing what you're doing, or have you got any sort of ideas about, where you might go with everything in the future?
That's a good question. Lots of people suggest lots of things to me. Well, it's so much cheaper. Why don't you just keep it online as an online magazine? But I love print. I've always loved print. I've always worked in print. Um, so I want to stick with that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I started off with a 15,000 distribution, and I wasn't covering Chapel Allerton. And I think it was like edition 4, edition 5. I went, right, I need to do Chapel Allerton because they don't get a magazine and it's a wonderful area. So I thought, okay, I need to start delivering there. So I bumped up my distribution to 19,500.
Hmm.
Um, and the magazine is slowly getting thicker and thicker. So really, um, when at the minute it's kind of paying for itself, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it's not it. I'm not taking much money from it at all. Um, so I think the magazine needs to get thicker. Then once it gets to like 44 pages and I'm pulling my hair out busy,
Hmm.
I'll have to start thinking about what's my next move.
Yeah.
And do I move around Leeds, or I haven't got a clue. Someone said to me, well, you can just do that Manchester mag and that Bradford mag. Okay, well, let's see how this one goes first.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean that's like you say, there's an awful lot of work, isn't there? And it
Mm,
might sound like an easy thing for someone to say, just do her that Bradford
yeah.
mag, but it's
It's
not
that
that
first
simple.
edition. It maybe took me 2 or 3 months to get enough advertising to pay for it, because
Mm,
I was taking a holiday on my mortgage because of COVID and redundancy. I was like, well, okay, I can't afford to pay for this, so I need to find a way of doing it. So that first magazine took a few months to start up, and a big sort of issue that I had then is that all the tradesmen, basically, people weren't spending money on holidays.
Yeah.
So people are spending money doing up their houses, home offices, and spending money at home. So all the tradesmen who normally advertise in these kind of magazines, all of a sudden they're so busy they don't need to advertise.
Of
Um,
course, yeah.
Plus they're getting stock issues, so they can't get the materials that they need because Brexit and various other things, and the pricing on all of their, all their materials is going up. So that was I'm hoping that we're going to slowly come out of the end of that, and when people start going on holiday again, and they've already done all this work on their houses, maybe these tradesmen will come back
Yeah.
and advertise. I mean, I have a few in there, um, and I think I'm seeing a lot more social media sort of sponsored posts by those sort of window people and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that they'll come back
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're talking about social media, is
Mhm.
it something that you've always sort of been savvy about, or is it something that you've had to learn about? And do you have to sort of keep building up your knowledge? Because I mean, I find it we've talked about this previously, but I
Yeah.
find it really difficult to keep up with everything that's going. I mean, I don't think of myself as an old person, but in comparison to some of the things that are going on in social media, I'm geriatric.
Well, I don't use it for personal, and
Okay.
I think when I set up the That Leeds Mag page on Facebook, I realised I do have a Facebook profile, but I hadn't posted anything since 2017 or something. I was like, okay, and then that was like one post a year, and I didn't like it at all. But obviously, it's a means to an end when you have a business. So I needed to set up the Facebook page, set up a Twitter profile. I've never had Twitter before. My husband was like, "You need to go on Twitter." I was like, "Okay, right." So I've got that, and then Instagram, which has been, I have to say, the most successful platform for me, because I think what I'm doing so much is sharing other people's content. Um, I'm not, I don't tend to bang on about salesy about the magazine. I'll say, right, this is my deadline and these are my prices. But I don't, that's not the majority of my feed. That might be like 5% of what I post. What I'm posting is content. I'm posting, all about the editorial and things like that. So,
Yeah.
and it goes down really well. I mean, that was always the intention to do that, because that's going to grow me the following. Because I mean, people don't want to be bombarded with advertising. We all know that. Um, but I think I'm trying to do the advertising in an entertaining way. And it's still this content marketing, isn't it? And I think that's, people are realizing now that that's going to get more results than just an advert in a lot of occasions. So yeah, it's yeah, that's it really.
It's a learning curve then.
Definitely, yeah. But like I say, I listen to a lot of podcasts about social media and how to do it. Um, yeah, and just sort of self-taught. I follow a few different people on social who I know sort of are on the pulse with the changes that Instagram keep making,
Yeah.
and working out, looking at the analytics, which posts are performing well. Um, and I guess it's not. I mean, all of mine is organic growth. I've never done a social media sponsored post. I think I did a
No.
couple right at the beginning, and I was like, "This isn't worth the money." Um, and I'm loath to give my hard-earned money to the likes of Facebook.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I think, and sometimes when I see people, and some of my advertisers do social sponsored posts, I think you've got to be everywhere. Um, but I don't know. I like to think I'd rather keep the money in the community, but that's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And it's very difficult to sort of gauge
Mm.
I mean, I'm learning all about, I didn't know anything about sort of stats and stuff before I started this, and
Mm.
now I'm obsessed with them. But it's very difficult to know sometimes what impact you're having, and whether
Mhm.
it's worth bothering or not with different social media. So I mean,
Mm.
I just tend to just throw a little bit of something at everything and hope that something works.
Hope something sticks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think so. And that there's something to be said for not posting for a while. Um,
really.
yeah, so I
Giving
mean,
people a break.
well, and then, but what you'll find is people may be on Instagram or following the hashtag, and they only see you because of the hashtag. So if you don't
Uh,
post for a week, they're like, "Oh, where's that person gone?"
uh,
And they'll come find you and follow you. So I've noticed, like, if I drop off for a week, which I tend to do when I'm mad busy,
mm,
um, is like, actually, hang on, I probably got more followers in that week than I did when I was posting every other day.
mm,
So there's a you're running this sort of balance of how often is too often, or I suppose I'm in a lucky position in that I have a lot of content um, provided, by the advertisers and by the editorial content, and it's because I have so much, I don't really have to think about, well, what am I going to post about next? And I
yeah.
think that is maybe more of a struggle for some businesses than others. Is what am I going to talk about? Do people really want to know about how to hang a door? Or
Yeah,
or things like that. So, and I think it's finding the right um, sort of niche for your business, and finding that unique thing that only you know, and understanding what you know that somebody else doesn't, and what you
yeah,
can sort of teaching somebody in a little bit is really helpful, and people will follow you for that. So
yeah, yeah, because it's
yeah.
interesting and they're getting something out of it. A
Mm.
little bit of advice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the important thing, because all of mine is organic, and even on Instagram, like, I never invited all my personal friends, so I know, nearly all of my followers are leads, and that
yeah,
is exactly what I need. And I think, yeah, I don't want, obviously I've got all my friends are in Essex, but it's like, why would I want them following the Leeds magazine? It's probably bits of it might be of interest to them, but not the bulk of it. Bulk of it is content for Leeds people.
yeah.
So,
But it's a funny old world, isn't it? Because I mean, yesterday I had 3 people in Finland listen.
mm,
The day before that, 3 completely different cities in China listeners.
oh,
And it's a strange thing because I'm never sure. Is this because, perhaps it's the particular guest they're interested
yeah,
in,
I would
or
think so.
maybe they've got some sort of connection with Leeds.
Mm.
It's just a straight. I find it fascinating.
Well, the lady who runs, the People of Leeds Twitter account,
Yeah.
she used to live in Leeds, but she's lived in Canada for the last few years. So
Ah.
she's managing the People of Leeds Twitter account from Canada. I find when I look at the analytics on my website, you see quite a lot of sort of distance, but and I get phone calls from people. Like, I've got an advertiser that's based in Sittingbourne, and I've had an advertiser that's based in Hemel Hempstead.
Hmm.
Um, but they have a franchise in Leeds, so when they're googling Leeds magazine advertising, hopefully I'm quite near the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a strange old world.
Yeah, no, but I say Google's been good for me, and really Instagram, and LinkedIn is great for, I think, for a supportive network for the business side of things, um, because everybody needs an accountant, and everybody needs, and it's great to have a relationship with a copywriter for me, um, and the sort of, I see the different platforms have their own little place, and Twitter is
Yeah.
a good place for me to get interview guests for the interviews. Um, there's a lot of time, some social media accounts, you might message the account and you don't know who's actually reading it. So
Hmm.
in some occasions you might be talking to, their social media manager, but in other occasions you might be talking direct to the person who owns that business.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a good way of cutting through all the crap.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely for me, Twitter's a great one for
Mm,
finding guests because, people these are so great about tweeting about each other and sharing information, and
mm.
you find all sorts of people, and I'm always astounded by how many things are happening.
There's loads, and that's it. I sort of I decide what I'm going to talk about, and I think a lot of the stuff like the Meanwood Street art, and in the latest edition, I've got the Leeds Little Libraries. I mean, I just love the arty stuff as well, so I try and
Yeah.
concentrate on that where I can. It brightens
Yeah.
up the community.
Yes, it certainly does. And so having lived here, Debbie, for 3.5 years,
Yeah.
you're obviously fully qualified to answer the 3 questions I ask every guest.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The first one being, what is great about the city of Leeds?
I absolutely love the fact that there is art everywhere. The big murals, the telephone boxes, the electric boxes. It's all on the walls, especially in Meanwood and Chapel Allerton. I absolutely love the effort that people have gone to with that. Again, so the little free libraries, or there's art on those, and you can just wander up to a box and take a free book and give one back occasionally. I think I absolutely love that, and if I'm allowed another one, I
Yeah.
would say the people, because everybody has been really kind to me. Obviously, starting out, a new business and not having a clue what I'm doing. I think I've had loads of support from networking on LinkedIn. Just sort of feeling like somebody's got your back um, is amazing, and I think pretty much anybody would help anybody.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Obviously,
a big collaborative feeling.
yeah, yeah,
And
love
if you
that.
had to choose something not so great about the city, what would you go for?
Well, I parked for 2 hours yesterday in the Leeds city centre.
Yeah.
Less than 2 hours actually, and it was £9. I guess they're trying to encourage us to use the buses. Yeah, some people that's not practical for, like me, when I'm
Yeah.
carrying a big box of magazines.
I think
Um,
for most bus travellers, it's not that practical.
it's not much cheaper to get the bus either.
No.
So yeah, the parking in Leeds city centre, seriously. I mean, I live at a 15-minute drive to the city. I'm like, this is madness. It shouldn't be costing me £9. And
No.
that puts people off going into town. It really does. I know that I think the NCP at Kirkgate Market have got a deal with the market, so you can park, I think it's £1 for half an hour. So if you're just nipping in for something, there's that. But I think overall, I think that's horrendous. And
Yeah, it is.
you could park for the whole day in parts of London for £20, but I just think £9 for 2 hours. Are you having a laugh?
Yeah, and it's tough, isn't it? Because, we want people to be going into the city centre and,
Hmm.
so many businesses have struggled through this awful time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
I
with
don't
that
know what
one.
they could do about it, but that's my little gripe right there.
Yeah, if anybody's listening who can help.
Well, I go in, I think I only need to buy a couple of things, and then you basically got to add 10% to whatever you buy.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
it's horrendous.
madness. And if somebody had lived in Leeds for a very long time, would
Hmm.
you be able to tell them something that you would consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Well, I've got two
Mm-hmm.
again. One is Moortown Park, right?
All right.
It's quite new. They built it when they built a sort of a development around the back of sort of Moortown High Street. It's
Yeah.
literally just around the corner, so you can grab a coffee and walk around the corner. It's not a massive park, but it's got some great play equipment for a few different ages. They've
Mm-hmm.
got a lovely friends organisation. They have, one of these herb boxes. You can just rock up and take some rosemary or whatever you want.
Oh, great.
There's a few different bits and pieces there, little benches to sit on. It's perfect for younger kids, I think, because likes of Roundhay Park is massive. So
Yeah.
if you've got smaller children, then Moortown Park is perfect.
Well, that
And
sounds
it's
like a
all
great one.
shiny and new. And the other one is in the Corn Exchange. There is a clothes shop called Hidden Wardrobe. They've got another one based in Huddersfield, but the Hidden Wardrobe it's got lots of nice modern looking clothes, and like it's not overpriced. I think sometimes you might go into the Corn Exchange and think, bloody hell, everything's really expensive.
Yeah.
I think the quality and those clothes in there, are really nice. And
Oh, brilliant. That's a good one.
whenever I bring anyone into the city and they're like, oh, I need to buy something, we'll go Kirkgate Market, and then we'll always go to the Corn Exchange.
Yeah. Well, there's just two brilliant places to visit, aren't they?
Mm.
And I just live by the I just live by the fact that I just feel like you haven't really gone into Leeds if you haven't been to Kirkgate Market
Definitely
in
not.
that visit.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's the hustle and bustle, and that's it. That's where you'll find a lot of the art as well. With the massive, owl.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it there.
Yep. Great place. And I always ask guests if they have a band that they would like to feature. Can you tell me a bit about the song and the band that you've chosen and why you've gone for that?
I can, in a second. Somebody sent me through something. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look up the email because I can't remember. There we go. So yeah, somebody sent me something through from a group of Leeds band members, and like I don't know a huge amount about the Leeds music scene. So this one was pretty cute when I heard it. It's called Ocean Floor, and it's Nicky Bray, Spencer Bayles, and somebody from the Leeds Open Mic Night, Emma Gatherer, I think. And they've done sea shanty based music and stuff, but this particular song was raising money for the Marine Trust, I think, Marine Conservation Society. So it was quite catchy, and I thought it might cheer people up.
Yeah, it is. It's a really lovely song, so I really hope that people enjoy it. And Nicky Bray is a friend of the show anyway.
Mhm.
She's on a previous episode, Multicultural Conversations, and
Okay.
she wrote me the theme tune for the Light On.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
That fits quite well then, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. She anything she's involved in is always brilliant.
Yeah.
And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today, Debbie?
I have got magazines to deliver to lots of locations today. I'll be over
Lots
to
of
Headingley.
walking.
Yeah, well, driving and walking. I'm going to Headingley Heart. That's my first drop off of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a big list, and I've got to leave loads at Kirby's as well because it's Friday, and lots of people will be in there. So, he'll stick one in with your fish and chips.
Yeah, good idea.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming along and letting me know all about That Leeds Mag. I'll put lots of links in the podcast notes so people can get involved and read all the brilliant things that you're doing.
Yeah, give us a follow and you can see what's going on in the magazine, and then if you're not in my distribution area and you want to pick one up, like I say, I leave them in Headingley Heart, the Welcome In Community Centre, and Kirby's has always got some.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Debbie.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye. Fantastic to talk to Debbie. She's a great guest. Go and check out That Leeds Mag. It looks absolutely beautiful, especially check out the art on the front pages. Really great thing to get into. All of the links are in the podcast notes. And Debbie chose Ocean Floor by Seascape, which you can buy on Bandcamp. And I will also put links to that in the podcast. It's a beautiful song, and I hope that you enjoy listening to it. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
What's happening in this great city? Light on Leeds. We'll tell you. But wait a minute. Light on Leeds. Light on Leeds. Take me down to the ocean floor. I wanna go swimming with the fishes. Take me down to the ocean floor. These are my only wishes. When I'm gone, you'll hear my song. I'll be singing with the sirens. The rhythm's sweet, the step 2, 3. Dancing with Deby Jackson pirates. Take me down to the ocean floor. I wanna go swimming with the fishes. Take me down to the ocean floor. These are my only wishes. No smoldering pie, put out the fire. I've got a date with the sea. No burial hole, the waves got soul. Neptune's waiting for me. Take me down to the ocean floor. I wanna go swimming I didn't let you know, you would put on a terrible show. With old books and pews, tight collars, bad shoes. Well, I'd rather you danced on the beach in bare feet than shed saltwater tears for me. Take me down to the ocean floor, I wanna go swimming with the fishes. Take me down to the ocean floor, these are my only wishes. Take me down to the harbour wall, goodbye sailor, my goodbye prayer. Take me down to the harbour wall, the tide is in, it's time to swim.